"I never tried to influence the referees," LeBron James was saying while discussing his athletic achievements. "I always respected the rules of the game and never asked for special treatment from the refs." As the studio analyst nodded in agreement, the program director rushed into the studio in panic. He handed a note to the host. The host's eyes widened. "We're experiencing an incredible development," he said, swallowing hard. "NBA veteran referee Tony Brothers has contacted us and claims to have an unreleased ear microphone recording that proves LeBron's statements aren't true." Cameras zoomed in on LeBron's face. The concern in the superstar's eyes was clearly visible. "I think these recordings will clarify many things," said Brothers, appearing on screen. Tony Brothers appeared on screen, holding a small audio recording device. "LeBron's relationship with referees is nothing like he describes," Brothers said in a calm but determined voice. "I want to play for you recordings from my ear microphone during the Lakers-Clippers game. These recordings have never been released because dialogues between referees and players are generally kept private." LeBron's face froze on screen. Brothers continued, "In these recordings, LeBron clearly says to me, 'Tony, help me out a little. Tonight's a special night, and this foul should go my way. I'm LeBron.'" The host caught his breath. "Are these allegations true, LeBron?" Before LeBron could answer, Brothers turned on his recording device. "Listen and decide for yourselves," he said. As the recording was about to load, the program cut to a commercial break. What did Brothers' recordings actually show? Would LeBron's claims about his relationship with referees crumble? And what was he saying to referees during games? Welcome to the Famous Stories channel. Whatever city you're watching from, please write it in the comments below. If you're curious about unknown and never-before-heard truths, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our videos. It was one of the most popular and influential television programs in the sports world. Every week NBA star players, coaches, and analysts were invited to the studio, participating in discussions that shook the basketball world. There was extraordinary excitement in the studio that day because the guest on the program was LeBron James, making his first television appearance following several controversial recent games. Program host Mark Wilson greeted the viewers and immediately introduced his guest. "Today in our studio, we have four-time NBA champion, four-time league MVP, and undisputedly one of the greatest names in basketball history, LeBron James." LeBron entered the studio with his usual professional demeanor. He stood out with his black suit and Lakers-themed tie pin. There was a confident smile on his face, but the stress from recent games was also visible. The other guests in the studio, former NBA player and analyst Marcus Williams and sports journalist Rachel Parker, welcomed him. Williams had been openly critical of LeBron's reactions to referee decisions in recent weeks, so there was already an atmosphere of tension in the studio. Wilson began the interview with a careful introduction. "LeBron, the last few weeks have been quite challenging for you and the Lakers. Particularly, a few disputes you've had with referees have been much discussed on social media and in the basketball world. What would you like to say about this?" LeBron took a deep breath, then looked directly at the camera. "First of all, we must acknowledge that every athlete sometimes disagrees with referees. It's in the nature of the game. But my approach to referees has always been within the framework of respect." "So you think the recent disputes have been exaggerated?" Wilson asked. "Absolutely," said LeBron, his voice now sounding more determined. "I never tried to influence the referees. I always respected the rules of the game and never asked for special treatment from the refs. I expect them to treat me like they would any other player, no more, no less." Marcus Williams interjected, "But LeBron, many players and fans think your status influences referees' decisions. There's a perception that you get fouls that other players wouldn't get, especially in positions where you protest." "That's a completely false perception," said LeBron. "I just want the right calls to be made on the court. Referees are human and can make mistakes, but that doesn't mean I can disrespect them. Throughout my career, I've always had a professional relationship with referees." Rachel Parker directed a more specific question. "What about your dispute with Tony Brothers in the last Clippers game? The cameras showed you quite angry. That position was clearly a foul and everyone could see it," said LeBron. "But again, I never asked for special treatment from referees. I just expect the rules to be applied the same way for everyone." Just then, there was a commotion at the back of the studio. A producer quickly approached Mark Wilson and handed him a note. As Wilson read the note, his expression gradually turned to surprise. First he raised his eyebrows, then his eyes widened. "Ladies and gentlemen," said Wilson, his voice trembling slightly, "we just had a rather surprising development. NBA veteran referee Tony Brothers has contacted us. There was silence in the studio. The expression on LeBron's face had frozen. Wilson continued, Brothers claims that what LeBron just said about his relationship with referees doesn't reflect reality. And even more surprisingly, he says he has some audio recordings to prove his claim. The cameras turned to LeBron. A momentary concern appeared on the star player's face, but he quickly composed himself. What are these recordings? Asked LeBron, his voice now more cautious. According to Brothers, they're recordings from the microphone he wore in his ear during the last Lakers-Clippers game, said Wilson. And Tony Brothers wants to connect to our program live right now. Do you accept this, LeBron? LeBron nodded without hesitation. Of course, let him connect. A few seconds later, Tony Brothers appeared on the studio screen. One of the NBA's most recognized referees, Brothers was wearing a black shirt and seemed to be connecting from his home. There was a serious expression on his face, and he was holding a small audio recording device in his hand. Tony Brothers, welcome to our program, said Wilson. LeBron just made some statements about his relationship with referees. You said you wanted to present a different perspective. Brothers nodded. Thank you, Mark. First of all, we normally don't share such dialogues with the public. Communication between referees and players is generally kept private for the healthy functioning of the game. So why do you want to share it now? Wilson asked. Because I heard what LeBron just said and I think the reality is different, said Brothers. Me and other referees have been experiencing how LeBron treats us on the court for years, and his claim that I never asked for special treatment from referees doesn't align with our experiences. Brothers showed the audio recording device. As NBA referees, we work with microphones in our ears during the game. This enables communication between referees, but it also records what happens on the court. Here are the recordings from the microphone I wore in my ear during the last Lakers-Clippers game. LeBron shifted slightly in his studio seat. We communicated normally in that game, Tony. I'm curious what's in the audio recording. Here it is, said Brothers, pointing to the device. When you listen to the recordings, you'll clearly hear what LeBron said to me, especially in the third quarter, when the score was in a critical situation. Wilson looked at the producers. We've examined the recordings we received and they've been deemed suitable for broadcast. Now we're listening to these audio recordings. The recording began. The sound quality wasn't perfect. The noise of the game and fan sounds could be heard in the background, but the dialogues were understandable. The first voice clearly belonged to LeBron, and he was speaking slightly out of breath, as if right after a play. Tony, that's a clear foul. You can't let them defend me like that. You're always like this in Lakers games. Brothers' response was heard. LeBron, I called the play as I saw it. There was no foul. Then LeBron's voice again. Look, Tony, tonight's a special night for me. You can't make decisions like this on the night Nike is launching my new shoe. Help me out a little. The recording jumped to the next segment. Another position. LeBron, this foul should go my way. I'm LeBron. I've been playing in this league for 20 years. You should show me that respect. Brothers, I'm just applying the rules, LeBron. The same standards apply to everyone. LeBron, the same standards. Then why do you call a foul on every drive Kawhi makes? I'm going to talk to the commissioner about this. Remember, I can influence who stays and who goes in this league. The recording ended there. A deep silence prevailed in the studio. The cameras slowly zoomed in on LeBron's face. The former MVP's expression was hard to read, a mixture of surprise, defensiveness, and perhaps a bit of embarrassment. Wilson broke the silence. LeBron, what do you think about these audio recordings? LeBron didn't answer for a few seconds, trying to gather his thoughts. These recordings are from the most intense moments of the game. Basketball is an emotional game, and sometimes things we say come out in the heat of the moment. But you just said I never asked for special treatment from referees, said Wilson. In this recording you clearly say help me out a little, and I'm LeBron. LeBron had now taken a more defensive stance. That game was very physical, and the referee decisions were inconsistent. Also, what I said might have been taken out of context. Brothers intervened from the screen. I gave the full context, LeBron. What you hear in the recording are just examples from one game. Similar dialogues happened in many games over the years. Me and other referees have repeatedly seen you trying to influence us using your status. Williams interjected. LeBron, these recordings contradict your earlier statements. Would you like to be more open about your relationship with referees? LeBron took a deep breath. Maybe sometimes my emotions get the better of me, but my intention has never been to disrespect referees or manipulate them. I just want the right decisions to be made. But in the recordings you say I'm LeBron and I can influence who stays and who goes in this league, said Parker. Isn't that trying to influence the referee using your status? LeBron was now clearly cornered. Sometimes the things we say come out of our mouths in the heat of the moment. If you listen to all of my dialogues with referees, you'll see I'm generally respectful." Brothers continued in a calm voice. "LeBron, I'm not here to discredit you, I just want to reveal the truth. You're probably the best player in the league, but you haven't always been professional in your relationship with referees, and your statement here today that I never asked for special treatment from referees contradicts the experiences of me and other referees." Wilson wanted to take the discussion further. "LeBron, after hearing these recordings, have your views on your relationship with referees changed?" LeBron now looked calmer. Maybe I've crossed the line sometimes. I'm a competitive player and I give everything to win. But I didn't want to give the impression that I ask for special treatment from referees." "But you're clearly heard doing that in the recordings," said Williams. "Yes, maybe I said that in those moments," LeBron admitted. "But that doesn't represent my general approach." Tony Brothers spoke from the screen. "LeBron, I'm human just like you. We all make mistakes. My aim isn't to embarrass you. But as referees we have our duty too, and we can't give special treatment to any player, regardless of their status." "I understand, Tony," said LeBron. "And maybe I should apologize for some things I say on the court." This softened the atmosphere in the studio. Brothers nodded. "Thank you, LeBron. On behalf of all referees, we respect you too. We just want our relationships on the court to be more respectful." Rachel Parker asked from an analyst's perspective, "Could this situation be a broader reflection of the superstar culture in the NBA? I mean, the expectation that big stars should get more respect and perhaps more fouls." LeBron responded thoughtfully, "That's an interesting point. Maybe unconsciously, as star players, we sometimes think we deserve more. But ultimately, there should be a fair playing field for everyone." Brothers added, "Refereeing is a very difficult job. We have to make decisions within seconds, and every decision we make is instantly judged by millions of people. When star players take an attitude against us, our job becomes even more difficult." At this point, another figure entered the conversation. Scott Foster, another veteran NBA referee known for his strict calls, had also connected to the program. "I'd like to add something to this discussion," Foster said, appearing next to Brothers on the split screen. "What Tony has shared is just the tip of the iceberg. LeBron's behavior toward referees has been an open secret among NBA officials for years." LeBron's expression changed again, now showing clear concern. "Scott, I've always tried to be professional with you too." Foster shook his head. "LeBron, I have recordings from at least 5 different games where you've tried to influence calls. Just last month you told me, 'Scott, you know who pays your salary, right?' when I called a foul against you." This new allegation sent shockwaves through the studio. Wilson turned to LeBron. "Is that true?" LeBron looked genuinely shocked. I don't remember saying that exact phrase, but again in the heat of competition, Foster pressed on. "What about the Lakers-Warriors game in January? You approached me during a timeout and said you better start calling some fouls for me or there's going to be consequences." The NBA reviewed that incident, but it was never made public. The atmosphere in the studio had changed completely. What had started as a defense of LeBron's reputation was turning into a full exposure of his behind-the-scenes behavior. Another voice joined the conversation, this time from the studio audience. It was Zach Zarba, yet another veteran NBA referee who had been sitting in the audience unannounced. "I've been listening to this discussion," Zarba said, standing up, "and I think it's important for viewers to understand the full picture. LeBron isn't the only star player who tries to influence referees. It's a systemic issue in the NBA." Wilson was clearly stunned by this unexpected development. "Zach Zarba, ladies and gentlemen joining us from our studio audience, please continue." Zarba walked toward the camera. "While LeBron has certainly tried to use his status to influence calls, it's something that almost every star player does. Michael Jordan did it. Kobe Bryant did it. Kevin Durant does it. It's part of the competitive nature of these elite athletes." LeBron nodded, seemingly relieved that the spotlight was now being shared. "That's exactly what I was trying to say. In the heat of competition, all players try to get an edge. Brothers wasn't letting LeBron off the hook so easily. The difference, LeBron, is that you just sat here and claimed you never do it. That's what prompted me to share these recordings." The debate continued to intensify, with more revelations coming to light. The NBA's head of referee operations, Monty McCutcheon, called into the program to provide institutional context. "The league is aware of these interactions," McCutcheon explained. "We review them internally and address them with both players and referees. Our goal is to maintain the integrity of the game while acknowledging the emotional nature of competition." As the discussion evolved, LeBron gradually shifted from defense to reflection. "Look, I think this conversation has been eye-opening for me," he said, his tone now more humble. I've always seen myself as respectful to the game and its officials, but clearly there are moments when my competitive drive takes over and I say things I shouldn't. Would you be willing to work with the referees to improve this aspect of the game? Wilson asked. Absolutely, LeBron replied. I think all players, especially veteran stars like myself, have a responsibility to set an example. Maybe we need to establish better lines of communication between players and refs. Brothers Foster and Zarba all nodded in agreement. That's all we've ever wanted, brothers said. Mutual respect and understanding. Wilson, sensing a constructive conclusion forming, asked LeBron, looking ahead, what specific changes will you make in your interactions with referees? LeBron thought for a moment. First, I'll be more mindful of my words, especially in high-pressure situations. Second, I think I need to better separate my emotions from my actions during games. And third, I'd like to propose regular meetings between player representatives and referees to discuss concerns from both sides. The referees all expressed support for these ideas. Brothers even extended an olive branch. LeBron, despite our disagreements, I've always respected your knowledge of the game. Your voice would be valuable in improving player-referee relations. As the program approached its conclusion, Wilson asked each participant for final thoughts. The conversation had transformed from confrontation to collaboration, with all parties acknowledging the need for improvement. I want to thank everyone for their honesty today, Wilson said, turning to the camera. What began as a contentious moment has evolved into something quite remarkable, a transparent discussion about one of basketball's most overlooked dynamics, the relationship between star players and referees. LeBron offered his closing thoughts. I came here today thinking I was going to talk about recent games, but instead I've been part of something much more important. I want to apologize to Tony, Scott, Zach, and all NBA referees for any disrespect I've shown. Moving forward, I promise to be better. Brothers nodded appreciatively, and we, as referees, commit to maintaining open lines of communication. This game belongs to all of us. Players, refs, coaches, and fans. We all want what's best for basketball. As the program ended, LeBron and the referees exchanged respectful nods, perhaps marking the beginning of a new era in player-referee relations in the NBA. The episode would later be remembered as a watershed moment in sports broadcasting, where a superstar was confronted with his own behavior and chose accountability over denial. In the weeks that followed, the NBA announced new initiatives to improve player-referee communications, with LeBron James serving as a player representative on the newly formed committee. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. What do you think about this topic? Please write in the comments below. See you in the next video.